Hi, friends. I want to talk today about something that's been sitting heavy on my heart, but also lighting a fire. Resilience. Not the social media version, and not the bounce back cliche. I mean the kind that's built in the middle of a setback that brings us to our knees. I've had more than one huge setback in life, along with a bunch of little ones. And setbacks aren't just obstacles. They're invitations. They are setups. And if you are in the middle of one right now, I want you to know you're not broken, even though you may be feeling that way. You have been handed an opportunity, and only you get to decide how you move out of it. Welcome to episode 18 of Making Mel Health in the Hustle. This podcast is a place where motherhood meets muscle, ambition meets exhaustion, and figuring out how to prioritize my health journey into the insanely beautiful chaos of my busy life is what I talk about. Some days it'll look messy, and other days, flawless. But no matter what kind of day I'm having, I can assure you I'll tell the truth and do my best to give you some good ideas and insight to help you prioritize your own journey. So let's talk about the fall that taught me to stand. Let me take you back to a setback where I thought I had lost everything that I'd built to that point. I had started powerlifting about 18 months prior, and I'd already done 2 competitions. I was at the gym squatting only 135 pounds, and I was on my 4th set. I went down for my 2nd rep and felt the most horrendous pain shoot through the inside of my leg. It felt like my leg was going to explode. I tried to recover it, but I slammed my knee against the squat rack before I could get that barbell re-racked. The pain after my knee twisted and collapsed hurt worse, but somehow I got that bar back in place. I found out later that I had torn my meniscus, which made absolutely no sense except one reason: not enough rest. See, active rest and recovery was not something that I understood well at that part of my life or my health journey. So began the very hard lesson on the importance of rest and recovery. I remember sitting in my car after seeing the orthopedic doctor and crying, thinking there is no way that I can go 6 weeks without training. Well, that 6 weeks turned into almost a year of rehab in that knee. That setback, it cracked something open inside of me. First, it taught me where I was pushing too hard and doing too much, and that my body had had enough. It forced me to focus on what my body was telling me, which was something I had never really focused on before. It was a really, really hard moment in time. And it made me redefine strength, not as pushing through, but as knowing when to pause. That setback built resilience and turned it into a setup for a comeback. That moment didn't end me. It just readied me for the comeback. See, there are going to be a lot of setbacks in your health journey, and setbacks are a universal part of it, whether it's injury, illness, missed workouts, emotional eating, or just feeling unmotivated. These moments don't mean that you've failed. They are simply part of being a human being. Life is unpredictable, and health journeys are never a straight line. You might have weeks where everything just clicks, and then suddenly life throws you off course. It could be stress at work, a family event, or maybe a bout with illness. These setbacks may hold you back for a moment, but they're not failures or signs that you're not serious about your goals. They're just part of the process. Setbacks affect your health journey in different ways, and it's really up to you to choose how to handle them. Physical setbacks like injuries, illness, or chronic conditions like asthma, which I happen to have, as well as permanent scarring on my lungs from COVID, present other challenges for me that I need to be prepared to manage. I may need a breathing treatment before I go do a workout. I always carry an inhaler with me at the gym. See, preparation is key. Some days, I might not be able to work out if my lungs are taking a beating that day. Often, physical setbacks will force you to slow down, rest, or even pause your routine entirely. You know, back in June when I had pneumonia, I had to cease and desist on all workouts. But my way of handling that time was to explore and apply for PhD programs. And we all know how that turned out. Now, mental and emotional setbacks are a completely different animal. Stress, anxiety, and disappointment can lead to unhealthy coping mechanisms like emotional eating or skipping self-care. The emotional toll can sometimes be greater than a physical one. Coach Val often says that weight loss happens between your ears. And she's right. Mindset is key. If your mindset is strong, weight loss becomes a consequence. So lean into your community when you're feeling overwhelmed. Get an accountability buddy. I have several who I check in with at different times. Sometimes your community can offer strength and insight that you might not have in the middle of a setback. We need our community. Routine disruption is another area that can set back your health journey if you're not prepared. Life events, travel, or changes in environment can make it hard to stick to healthy habits. Falling out of routine is common, but it does not erase your progress. You just have to have a re-entry plan to get life back to normal. See, resilience isn't pretty. And resilience doesn't mean being unshaken. It means being shaken and still choosing to rebuild. It means being dismissed and just finding another path. Resilience doesn't mean that you bend in the middle of the storm. It means that you don't break. Or, in the words of Coach Val, you lapse, but don't collapse. Resilience doesn't always look like hustle. Sometimes it looks like rest and boundaries and just saying no more. Resilience means knowing when to slow down. And that's a feat that I find very difficult at times. You know, rest is an area where I lack the most balance in my life. I have to try very hard and even schedule rest. Do you know that I have an alarm that goes off on my phone every night at 9:30 p.m. so that I can stop whatever I'm doing and get to bed? When that alarm goes off, I shut off the computer and the phone, head back to do my bedtime routine, and then by 9:45-ish, I'm in bed. Now, on the nights that I choose to ignore the alarm, and I sometimes push that envelope, I end up suffering the next day. Lack of rest can prevent me from being able to work to my full capacity. So in order to be more resilient in this area, I need to get more disciplined. And that's what I know I have to work on. Resilience isn't a solo performance. It requires community. Actually, I would argue it's built in community, in being witnessed and supported and reminded of your worth. Resilience is knowing when to lean in on the right people so that they can carry you through when you can't carry yourself. So here's the framework that I use when I encounter a setback and feel stuck. First, I know without any doubt that a setback is a setup for a comeback. And Coach Val is an incredible example of how to do this with grace and style. For me, I have a very simple recipe that I follow when this happens, and it might work for you. First, I acknowledge the setback. Ignoring or downplaying it doesn't get you anywhere. You have to admit what happened and allow yourself to feel the disappointment or the frustration. That is the very first step in moving towards healing and growth from a setback. Then, pause and reflect. This is where your plan starts to get built. Ask yourself, what is this setback trying to teach me? Is it a sign that I need more rest or better boundaries or a new approach? The question I ask myself is, what can I do with this mess? Reflection can turn setbacks into learning opportunities. It's how you start to set up. Third, pivot. Adjust your mindset, your boundaries, maybe your direction or your habits, maybe even your goals. You might need to shift your workout routine or focus on recovery or seek support. Flexibility is key when you pivot, and no pivot is ever going to look the same. It's about asking yourself, what is the one small action that's going to move me towards the comeback? Whatever needs to shift, that's your first step. My last pivot put me in this PhD program. I used what seemed like a stumbling block and turned it into a stepping stone. Then, finally, you power up. You don't need a 5-year plan to come back from a setback. You need one small, brave step. It could be a walk, a nourishing meal, maybe reaching out to a friend, or when you feel held back by the powers that be, you gather some friends and learn how to run your own Zoom meeting. See, those small actions can rebuild momentum and confidence. Setbacks can actually set you up for a stronger comeback. They force you to reassess, build resilience, and develop new strategies. Many people find that after a setback, they return with more wisdom, more compassion, and even more strength than before. The key is to reframe those setbacks. Use those stumbling blocks as stepping stones. Every setback is an opportunity to grow, improve, and discover new ways to succeed. I think about how I teach my daughter about comebacks, and it is not by pretending that I have it all together. It's by showing her how to rise when I don't. See, our kids don't need perfect parents. They need real ones. They need ones who model and show them how to come back in the middle of a setback. So today, if you're in the middle of a setback, I want you to know you're not falling behind and you're not finished yet. You're just being refined and made better. Take the time to assess, pause, and plan for your next move. Journal your difficulties if that helps. Sometimes seeing it on paper gives you a new perspective. Or share your story with a friend. Other people can offer us insight that we might not see. And remember, your comeback isn't just for you. It's for everyone who believes in you and is watching, waiting, and wondering if they can rise too. Next episode is going to be called Built, Not Born. And we're going to get into how to build your health journey from the ground up. Until then, onward and upward, my friends.